Audio stories for between stops. Hello. These stories are not travellers' tales. They are tales for travellers. For all ages, for all sexes, male or female, whatever else there is banging around. Before each story, there is a short description of the genre, because we don't want you screaming in terror in the middle of a bus or giggling insanely 35,000 feet in the air and upsetting the air stewardesses. The first story, The Sailor Who Ate a Cucumber Sandwich, is for everyone. It is a lesson in sound that was quickly learned by youngsters during the Blitz in London during the war. The Sailor Who Ate a Cucumber Sandwich. Uncle Tom was sitting opposite me, smiling. We were sitting in the garden of our house in Hampstead in London. It was August, it was warm, it was sunny, and the insects were buzzing the music of summer. And I had the feeling Uncle Tom was happy and relaxed for the first time for many, many months. You see, Uncle Tom is in the Navy. Not the Navy that fires guns, drops depth charges, releases torpedoes, rams U-boats, and causes trouble wherever it can. That's the Royal Navy. Uncle Tom is in the Merchant Navy. I was a bit disappointed when I found that out. You see, the Merchant Navy brings food and supplies in convoys to England and takes guns and supplies to other countries to help fight against the Germans. So being in the Merchant Navy is not as exciting as being in the boom boom Royal Navy. Uncle Tom is on the convoys to Russia, which is very, very tough because it's very cold with icebergs all over the place, the sea is very rough, and they are attacked by the Germans all the time. But the cold does not worry my Uncle Tom. You see, he is a chef and works in the kitchen of the big ship he was on, and so keeps nice and warm. I say the ship he was on, but it has been sunk. It was a hospital ship full of wounded Russian soldiers being taken back to Russia. It had big white patches painted on either side with a big red cross to show it was a hospital ship and should not be attacked. But the captain of the U-boat, that's a German submarine, thought the big red cross was a good aiming point and fired 2 torpedoes. As the ship was sinking, my Uncle Tom was bundled into a lifeboat. 4 brawny sailors rowed the survivors to another ship in the convoy. The other ship stopped to pick them up. Now, when you are under attack from a U-boat, you should never stop. And my Uncle Tom had not been on the new ship for more than 10 minutes before, with a huge bang, another torpedo started to sink that ship. Again, my Uncle Tom was bundled into a lifeboat, and 4 brawny sailors rowed him away from the sinking ship with the other survivors. The next ship to pick him up was a Royal Navy destroyer. Destroyers could stop because U-boats were terrified of destroyers and kept well away. And as Uncle Tom was helped on board the destroyer by a Royal Navy officer, he happened to say to the officer, "You know, I've been torpedoed twice today, and I've not even got my feet wet." The officer told the captain of the destroyer, who immediately radioed the Admiral of the Fleet. The Admiral of the Fleet radioed my uncle's remark to the fleet, knowing the Germans would be listening. The fact that a lot of sailors were not being sunk with their boats must have infuriated the U-boat captain. And now My Uncle Tom was sitting opposite me in our garden in Hampstead on a quiet sunny August afternoon, about to have a nice cucumber sandwich with a cup of tea. We all thought. My auntie's worried glance in my direction arrived after I had already heard the beat of the motor. "It's a German," I said. My statement ignited action. Grandmother, Auntie Gwen and myself crashed together under the table. I stuck my head back out. Yes, it was a Mercedes-Benz engine, and it was screaming towards us rapidly. But my young ears had picked up another sound, a howling Merlin. You see, Mercedes-Benz engines powered the enemy. Merlins powered Spitfires. And a Messersmitt 109 was hurtling at us, upside down at 0 feet, between the houses and over the gardens. Chasing it, a Spitfire, spitting fire with its cannons blazing, was knocking bits off the enemy. The thunder of the engines, the rattle of spent cartridges hitting roofs, and the smell of burnt cordite and aviation fuel added to the excitement. As a 7-year-old, I had not yet learned to feel fear. A loud explosion, and the drama was over. I later learned the Messersmitt had crossed Sumatra Road, the railway lines, and exploded over Iverson Road. The Spitfire gave a victory roll and flew off to look for more trouble. I struggled a shaking grandmother from under the table, and Auntie Gwen untangled the cucumber sandwiches from the grass. But Uncle Tom had vanished. Well, most of him. He was just flashing the soles of his feet in the sunshine. The rest of the sailor still in his chair that had toppled backwards into the bushes. And Uncle Tom was imitating a duck. His quacking accelerated our rescue efforts because Uncle Tom was choking. I said was because his dicing with death ended with a wallop. Auntie Gwen was a big girl, and when she walloped, she walloped. Her thump on Uncle Tom's back stopped his quacking. A piece of cucumber shot out of his mouth and flew across the garden. Grandmother tutted. After a personal dogfight, the near death of her son-in-law, and a flying cucumber, a tut was all she could manage. Uncle Tom was a sailor, so he could not tell the difference between the sound of a friendly or foe aircraft engine, a talent all the kids in London quickly learned during the Blitz. And while the German Navy and Air Force used their might of their arsenal against him, it was just a small piece of cucumber that nearly ended his war effort.